All right. Let's get started. Today is, of course, Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. And welcome to our weekly cult meeting, Wizard Wednesday, channeling in from the Quantum Downs. This is the Black Goat of the Wood, Elf J Trul. And joining me is
the orange puppet with sunglasses and a great headband, Dotta. And
the
joining me,
business bear himself, Bearsnake. How we
what's
doing?
up? We got a couple other folks on stage.
Yeah, who else we
Hey,
got?
Who else we
the
Hey
got?
guys,
Yeah,
how's
hi.
it going?
Hey.
Oh my God!
Nalgene.
Is it Wizard Bottle Nalgene himself?
Yeah, it is. Hello.
Wait, Nalgene, have you ever been up here on stage?
No, I realized I haven't ever formally joined a Wizard Wednesday as a speaker, so maybe
No
like
way!
maybe for
I can't believe
30
it.
seconds to talk about the comic and
What inspired you to come up? Was it the music? Was it the smooth backbeat tones that Elf played?
Honestly, that was just the cherry on top. Today has just been rolling along. I'm really feeling myself, so just thought I'd go out on a limb here and get up on a space. Really change it up.
Lovely to have you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm glad you came up. And who else we got?
And your friendly neighborhood kobold.
Tad Major. What up, guys?
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Mad Tad.
Wait, Tad, are you a kobold under that armor? How did I miss that?
A wizard embodies many different things, but no, there is not a kobold under the Tad armor. In fact, there's absolutely nothing under it. It's just armor. It's a little trick for you. It's just light and armor, nothing else.
You're naked under there. Sounds chafy.
And Matto's here too.
Hello, hey, been a while. I've been having fun in Japan. Back in the States now.
Oh, welcome.
Matto,
back.
you were gone for like
fun.
a month, right, or more?
Yeah, about like 2.5 weeks or so. Yep. So I left like right on like a Wednesday. So it was like my flight was on Wednesday, and then my flight coming back was on Wednesday too. So
Got it. Well, welcome back, Matto. We missed you. We fielded all the Runeverse questions to the best of our knowledge, but
I know. Yeah,
it was embarrassing. Our knowledge was not so good.
It's all right. I've been listening post like afterwards for the recordings. I'm like, oh man, I wish I was there. Elf was like, I wish Motto was here. I was like, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here because we've got some cult questions, and I'm going to start off with a Runeverse question right away. So Wild Mage is asking, will mobile play be available for the next Runeverse slice, or the one after that?
So that is a great question. Mobile's currently being worked on. It's probably not going to be up for this upcoming one. I mean, like just because of like some optimizations that are like being like baked into the game, like in general, you'll probably be able to play on some devices. Like I know last time people were saying that they were actually able to get it on their iPad if they like zoomed out or whatever. So probably on some devices, but it's not going to be like officially rolled out. Probably not this time. Maybe the next time. But I think in general they're focusing more on just getting the building for this particular release. And like small quality of like updates are just kind of like being intertwined with those larger updates throughout. So maybe not this time, maybe next time, and if not that, I mean it's probably just going to get easier and easier to run on multiple devices as it runs through, just because they're just adding some optimizations as we continue.
I remember in the last event, I was able to just play it on mobile anyway. I don't know if anybody else was able to.
Right, because it's made for the web browser, so like everybody's mobile phones and like mobile devices have browsers. Really, it just depends on really like how really compatible it is with whatever device you're using.
Yep.
So it's just more, and like we're actually making like the dev team I posted before, they're actually like making UIs that are specifically meant for mobile. So like if you're on a mobile device, the game will read it on mobile and like rework its UI so that way it's easier to use.
Yep.
But yeah, that's definitely not going to roll out. But in general, you'll probably be able to play on some devices. It just won't be officially supported yet.
Yeah. So Wild Mage, the answer is you probably can play it on mobile, but it's not like optimized for mobile per se. Cool. Okay. Let's see. So many other questions. Dotta, here's one for you from Meeple Dad. He says, "Hey,
Okay.
you know that collection you guys drop for free to the community that you make zero revenue off of? It's called the Athenaeum. Taking on a massive project of moving it to Arbitrum would really save gas. Any plans for that?"
I mean, yeah, that's a great point. I love that idea. So Niski and I have been talking about that. We've seen, y'all have seen, like, let's say Layer Zero is a technology that some projects have used to make tokens interoperable across chains. One of the things that sort of like move would require is a way to like you have to have a way to get rid of the old tokens or to bridge the tokens over, and that bridging actually might cost gas unless you kind of like do you guys remember how like goblintown.wtf, how they like changed all the token metadata? They like changed it to like a picture of a trash can or something and airdropped a new token. You'd have to basically do something like that. So I wouldn't want to do something like that without kind of like a larger buy-in from the community. Never say never. I think we're looking for it. The Warrior event is going to use Athenaeum items, and so we just want to make sure that the gas there is not too crazy. So maybe, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, let me take a break from the cult questions for a second. Bear and Dotta, how excited are you guys for the next year of Forgotten Runes?
Oh man, I don't. Yeah, I've never been more excited. I hear. Let me see what I can try to say, which is something like, I feel like this is the year where we do everything we said we would do and more, something like that. Like we're going to do some things that we maybe said we'd never do, and it's going to be amazing. And so I think that like I'm very, very excited for this year. Man, I can't talk about it. I can't talk about any of it because we probably have 5 signatures at our desk right now with partners of one degree or another that like once it's signed, then we can roll it out and talk
I
about
just
it.
signed
But I
one.
think like
I just signed one today.
you just signed one.
Let's
Yeah.
go. We
This
got
is the
4
year people will
left.
remember the runes. Yeah. This is the year people will remember the runes, and we're like just so excited to deliver on a lot of stuff we've said we were going to do this year. The Runeverse game unlocks a lot, right? Like you basically have an entire ecosystem of a game that's fun, that basically creates this virtuous cycle with all of the tokens coming together. With you have like an economy with regards to like crafting and the game, the tokens within the game, and so it unlocks new opportunities for us that we didn't have before. And
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's so funny because ironically, like you're saying all of this, and yet in the team meeting the other day, we were like, man, Wizard Wednesday really gets us in trouble a lot because we say things and then we realize we shouldn't have said that for X, Y, and Z reasons. So like, even though we're super excited, we're also not going to say jack shit until we actually can. Because Wizard Wednesday, like, I love doing it, but like, when you run a business and you have to talk to your customers, audience, community, whatever, once a week live, I don't know if that's the best business practice.
I love it. I wouldn't want it any other way. Yeah, we talked about it. We're like, maybe we promise too much every Wizard Wednesday, but it's just like this. This is how we do it, and this is how we're going to make it. And maybe apes don't have an ape get together, but once every 6 months. But we do it every week, and I think we just keep it up. And if people like, this is where you'll hear all of the like alpha that we have to share over the next year, of which there will be some, and you're going to hear it here first on Wizard Wednesday. So that said, right before this, I did send a message to our chat, and I said, "All right, boys, let's try not to promise anything today on Wizard Wednesday."
We're not promising anything. We're just getting excited.
Yeah, just getting it done.
We're allowed to be excited. Are we not? If we're not excited, why the hell would anyone else be excited?
Yeah, no, I'm excited for sure.
I'm more excited. I'm more excited.
Yeah, I think the fact that you guys do this every week really is like it's amazing compared to like what everybody else really does. Because I mean, like it is really like super communicative and like that's what a lot of like other projects I feel like they lack from like a lot of their project leads. It's like they feel like they're kind of like left in the dust or whatever. And like for us, even if it's like sometimes there's like slower weeks, but like we at least get like updates every week. We know like it's very reliable. We just come in on Wednesday and just like pick ask you questions or just kind of like just listen to what you have. So it's really appreciate that you guys still doing this whole time.
Awesome. Well, speaking of Wizard Wednesday, we really want Wizard Wednesday to spread far and wide. So please retweet the space, like it, do all the stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go back to cult questions. And also like later today, later in the space, I want to address the big post that Terp made. I've got a lot to say about it. And it actually intersects with some of these cult questions. So we're going to tackle all of it today. Okay. Let's see, which question do I want to ask or go to next? Give a Hoot says, is there any plans to have any warrior stories in the upcoming comics, or for that matter, Soul Pony, etc., or is it all just whizzies? So Give a Hoot. The comic, it's one of those media expressions that takes, God, what is it, like a year and a half now to actually produce from start to finish. And so to that, the stories in the comics that are just now being released today were written like over a year ago. And at that time, it made the most sense to focus mostly on the wizards. So I think like 98% of the characters in the comic are just straight up wizards. There might be a warrior or two in them. I think there's a pony or two, and then there's a thing with the souls that I'm not going to say much more on. But the basic answer is it's mostly wizards. That's all I'll say. Okay. VMark has a really fun question that honestly I could spend the rest of Wizard Wednesday on, but I won't. So I'll just give you a short answer. VMark is asking, what are your top 3 books on magic or the history of magic? VMark, I wish I could talk about this all day. Okay, so here's my answers, and I'm not going to do it on just top 3, but number 1, really anything by Joseph Campbell, specifically Hero with a Thousand Faces or the Mask of God series, just because this explores the monomyth and Carl Jung's idea of the collective unconscious, which is absolutely core to what Forgotten Runes is about. So that would be number 1. Number 2 is a brand new entry to this list. Zayla Soul sent me a book like maybe a year ago now. It's called Technosis. And I never knew it existed until then, but it dabbles in territory that I've always been interested in, which is the connection between technology and magic and mysticism, which again is so Forgotten Runes. And then third on this list would be, this is not really a book on magic, but I think it's adjacent. Paradise Lost by Milton, and then the works of William Blake. And the reason I'm putting them on this list is just because I love the way Milton in Paradise Lost just sort of rewrites these biblical figures. And he really humanizes them, especially the figure of Satan. And then I love the way that William Blake carried on this torch into the Romantic era, where he just sort of engaged in his like own brand of world building. Blake is just a wizard ahead of his time. And then I'm going to put a runner up on this list, and mostly because it's just got a badass title. This book is called The Witch's Hammer, and even its Latin translation is badass, which is Malleus Maleficarum, and that it was written by 2 monks in like the 15th century. And honestly, it's almost impossible to read because it's in this like old English dialect. But I used to work at a library, and I would pick this book up all the time and just read passages. And it's just this really interesting accounting of what I would call like the original satanic panic, where mass hysteria just captured all of Europe. And it's just a really weird, gruesome book that really captures the tone of that time. So those are my top three, V Mark. I don't know if Bear, Joder, you guys want to put some.
The speaking of Joseph Campbell, I don't know if folks listening know this, but there is an interview series with him on YouTube called The Power of Myth, and I really just think it's like required watching for all cult members. It's delightful. It's the I think it's 5 or 6 episodes interviewing with him, telling, explaining the like some classic myths and storytelling, and there's some incredible stories that he tells there, and he talks about the hero's journey. And I think if you're a part of the cult, make some time to watch that series. It's just put it on the background while you're doing dishes or whatever. It's incredibly good. I just tweeted about it and pinned it up top.
Yeah, it really speaks to just the core ethos of this whole project. Great question. I love questions like that. Okay. Another kind of lore question from Urshan. What does it mean to have a rune? I think you mean like a wizard or a warrior. If they have a rune, what does it mean? Does it translate to affinity to a certain type of magic? Can a being possess more than one rune? Conversely, what does it mean to not have a rune? Are you without magic? Okay, so first of all, I've actually tackled this question before in previous Wizard Wednesdays, but what I think what I really need to do, and this is going to speak to a lot of the discussion I'm seeing in the Secret Tower today, which is you guys want more canon lore, and you want a place to like return to see it and reference to it constantly. And I'll address that in a second, but let me just answer Urshan's question. So if your wizard has a rune, what I've said before is like, on baseline, it's up to you to interpret it what that means. But here's some options for you. It could mean that it flavors the type of magic that you have. So if you have the rune of Mars, but you're a pyromancer, that just means you've got like Mars flavored fire magic, if that means anything to you. So you could see it as a magic enhancer. You could also, alternatively, see it as a curse. There's a lot of examples throughout mythical history of having some kind of curse mark on you, and it's like a hindrance, it's a burden. So if you want to see that as your wizard's rune, that's another option. If you don't have a rune at all, it either means sure your magic is very weak, or your magic is so powerful that it is not contained by a single rune. So those are a few ways to look at it, but really it's up to you. Matto, did you have some comments on this?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna point out that if anybody else noticed in the comics, there are two wizards that actually incant their runes while they're doing spells, or rather, not their runes. I noticed that it's not even their like particularly tied to them, but they incant a rune when they do their spell. So that's something to kind of like perhaps like ponder on if you're working on your character and such. I think that's a cool idea. That maybe even wizards can use runes that aren't particularly affiliated with them for their magic, but maybe they have more of an affinity for the rune that they actually are associated with. Stuff like that is really cool.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, there is some fun ways that the comic deals with the runes. And that's and everything that was just said is sort of like in sort of Runeverse lore, but I've got to also just add on top, which is this more like conceptual real world idea of what a rune is. It's also very core to what Forgotten Runes is. To put your rune on the door means to put your mark on the world. And so basically everything you create, you could like consider a rune. It's your unique mark on the world, so that history does not forget you. So it's got multiple meanings. But I hope that answers your question. Okay, Bear Dotta, I think this is kind of a question for you from Bridge. Per the conversations this morning, is there a marketing plan for 2024? How would you guys answer that?
I would answer yes to that. Yes, there's a marketing plan. Gosh, I mean, it's. I know there's been a ton of sort of ideas and conversation around this over. I mean, not only the past couple days or weeks, but like for 2 years. I would say that, when I think about marketing, I think about, speaking to the people who were already in the cult. And then I think it's about speaking, and then like separately, there's speaking to people that are native to Web3, like in other projects, they're collectors, builders, and speaking to them. And then there's speaking to people who don't even know what an NFT is or care what an NFT is. And so you sort of have to time all that stuff out. I will say, I never want to come across as defensive, but what I will say is that I think there's a lot of concepts that I feel like have been thrown out. I feel like there's a lot of talk about how to approach building and talking and stamping our feet and shouting from the mountaintops about everything that we're doing. I would say that I think we've done our fair share of trying a lot of different things. I still feel like we have a huge, like, this is one of the biggest areas where we have like some of the biggest room for improvement. I also think marketing needs to be tied with an introduction of something new into the ecosystem that can like speak to some of these other people. I think when you're speaking, and sorry, I'll just go on like a small little tangent, but like when we're talking about like that category one of like existing cult members and making sure that everybody who's already in the cult, whether you're highly active every day or you check in once a month or whatever, there's making sure everybody understands what's being done, right? What we're doing, what other like leaders and builders are doing on the cult. I think that's part of the reason why we brought on Tad, right? And we actually had our weekly call with Tad earlier today, and like we're getting our footing there, and really like putting in some, I would say, some like stopgaps and structure to make sure that everything that the cult is doing is like amplified accordingly and loudly to everybody in the cult. And then I think when it comes to people who fall outside the cult, I think people who are like big holders or people who are active in Web3, not in the cult, I think a lot of them feel like I think we've talked about it a million times. We're too complicated. They don't really understand like the value proposition. People that maybe don't sort of prioritize the creative and emotional aspect of NFTs and specifically Forgotten Runes, they don't have a lot to like hold on to, right? I think we talk about like the TV show and like doing with Derek and Titmouse, and you talk about the game and you talk about the comic books. I still think that there is a bridge that needs to get built between those things and like the value proposition. And I know we don't like to talk about floor price, but I think the majority of people in the space are here for financial upside. And so I think some of the big things that we're doing this year, I think, is going to very much clarify and focus on that, while also like making it very clear about like when you're contributing creatively to this decentralized world, this collective creative world, we're going to like be able to like refine that message and make it dead freaking clear why. And then lastly, like the last phase, and that is like people who don't even have a wallet, don't know what a crypto wallet is, don't really know what an NFT is, or they know what it is and they hate it. I think you can speak like that's what the game is for in phase two, when it goes into sort of live ops and the full game's running, and we start like user acquisition funnel to people who just like games in this category, MMOs. and same with the television show. And so hopefully, I'm not trying to like skirt around the issue, but we know that there's room for improvement. I think a lot of the things that we're really excited about solve some of these issues. I don't know. Am I making any sense whatsoever? I don't even know what I'm saying. Am I even saying
I'm
anything?
tracking with you.
Bill Gaines said you're painful to listen
Yeah.
to.
Damn, Bill.
Bear, you could have just said, "Yeah, we have a plan."
I'm just like, well, listen, this is
Yeah.
just something we think about all the time. But
No,
Bill.
we have a plan. Yes, and listen, Terp, I read your post this morning, and like I love that you started it out with, or like prefaced it with preaching to the choir, because I mean, everything you said we talk about ad nauseum and have been doing so for 2 years. Let me just try to sum up some of the takeaways that I saw in your post. One of them was like posting more content on Instagram and TikTok, and like, I hear you, man. We totally could and should, but let me just say this. So we posted cult content on Instagram for over a year, and that netted us about 2,000 followers on Instagram. um, and when you're a small company, you just constantly have to reevaluate where to put your resources, time, and effort. And at one point, we just decided, okay, after a year and only 2,000 followers on Instagram, let's cut it. We've got bigger fish to fry.
Well, I mean, I think that the approach that we need to take to Instagram to do it is to basically post unique content there. I don't really think that what we want to do is what Pudgies is doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, but cult content is unique content. I think maybe like the problem is it's like a little scatterbrained. It's not cohesive format like Pudgies does. Like Pudgies, their strength is their simplicity, and their strength is they're in this genre that I guess I would just call cute, and there's an audience for that. Um, Forgotten Runes is not built to be simple, and that's our strength. And we're certainly not trying to be cute. We have a brand identity and we have a target demographic, which is epic fantasy that appeals to nerds, weebs, comic geeks, fantasy enthusiasts that love Magic the Gathering or Elden Ring or Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. And that audience is absolutely massive, and that market churns hundreds of billions of dollars a year. So we know what our target demo is. I'm not even sure if like there is an Instagram strategy to appeal to that demo. Maybe there is, but just posting regular cult content for whatever reason just didn't seem to work. So maybe we need to come up with a scalable, repeatable format. Not copying Pudgies, but like, I guess like Pudgies does, and maybe that'll work on Instagram. As far as TikTok,
I also just think that part of this conversation is this idea that what Pudgies shows is they're like, look, we have all these followers on Instagram. Why is that useful for them? Well, that's useful for them because they have toys in Walmart and they need people to buy those toys in Walmart and then connect them to their video game, which hopefully drives value back to IP holders. That's not actually what we're aiming for at all. Pudgies right now is like a physical goods company, whereas what we're trying to do it is more along the media angle, where the nearest term thing that's going to drive value to the brand for Forgotten Runes is the Runeverse game, right? In what we do to drive, let's say, this so-called vanity numbers in the near term is not to have this fashion brand with regards to Instagram, but rather to have to drive users to the Runeverse game, which we'll do, right? People will see the numbers of the Runeverse game by the end of this year, and they'll be incredible. And so I think it's just a different aim because it's a completely different business. People think that Forgotten Runes and Pudgies are the same business, and it's not at all. It's a different
very
thing.
different. I mean, Pudgies is ultra simple with a cute character. Like, that's perfect for a toy. I don't think a toy is our first swing. Our first swing is the comic, which we're doing, a show, which is in production, or we're doing. the game, which is like the alpha is like has already been out, because these are things that are more built for the fantasy genre. You know, maybe someday we'll do a toy, but I don't think that's like our first thing.
I also don't even like being defensive about this. There's plenty of things that are coming that I feel like everybody's going to change their tune soon enough. So, I think I've spent a long time working on like emerging platforms like YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, and I think Forgotten Runes will have its place in on those platforms and find an organic audience that's larger than the existing cult and Web3. I think it just has to be timed correctly, and you can't force it, is what I would say. And so I think everybody should sit tight, is what I should think.
As far as content on TikTok, you really kind of just need video content for that. Now, we have engaged with Solopop to do AI films. And even though they're going to be awesome, that's not something you can make daily. You can't even do that weekly. We did make 6 short, somewhat animated storyboard films on YouTube. There's 6 of them on our YouTube right now. They got like 200 views. Like animation just takes a lot of time. And so, it's, I don't know that we have the sort of production bandwidth to make daily TikTok content. That's where we run into trouble with that. As far as I saw some like calls for a so-called lore master. I'm not totally sure what exactly you all mean by that. Like everybody seems to have a different definition of this lore master. But what I'll say is like we're not lacking stories. Like writing stories is not something we have a shortfall on. I wish I could show you all the stuff I have written. What we have a shortfall on is actually producing these things, meaning animating them or illustrating them, or whatever.
Yeah, we got Bridge up here. Bridge, I know that you've got a lot of thoughts on like how to get some of this content done. I'd love to hear your voice. Hello, Junio.
Thanks, you. Hey, Junio. Can you guys
What's
hear me?
up?
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. No, I want to rewind real quick and just say I think Bear's answer was pretty on point. Marketing comes down to timing, and so I know you guys have constant conversations on it, and so I think that in regards to everything you have planned this year, it's just in relation to this year moving forward, because as people are saying in the chat, it's currently we've been building this community and building this IP brand, whatever you want to call it, over the past 2 years, and it's esoteric. It's kind of hard to grasp from outsiders. So trying to market that to outsiders is really, really difficult, and can be incredibly capital intensive. So use the current tools that are available: Twitter, Discord, socials, and then as things start to widen out, branch out into more traditional means of marketing. That's kind of what I was hearing from Bear. As far as the lore master, I think it comes down to transparency and organization, because the book of lore is one of our most valuable assets, and it's being iterated on. I know that you guys have plans for it. The searchability, with the Loracle is an ongoing process as well. So I think it's just, I don't know. As far as the lore master goes, I think there are a lot of really amazing wizards who have spent tons of time in there, and they're very familiar with a lot of the core content, and then being able to publicize that, I think, is the question. Sorry, that was a lot, but it's trying to figure out a transparent and curated version of the book of lore, I think, is what I'm trying to articulate.
Dotta just told me that I'm being really defensive right now. So if I'm coming off that way, I'm not trying to. I'm just like trying to be very candid and transparent with you all. about the stuff that we talk about every day.
Yeah.
So I don't really know where to go from there, but we've got a lot of storytelling that is like backlogged. But yeah, it's just a matter of like finding ways to produce it. And it's nearly impossible to do that on a daily basis for these social media platforms. But I'll tell you one thing. What I really loved is Bill Gaines shared this Critters Cult site, and I have never seen that. I think that's a really fun way to deliver some like core canon lore, because that's always been my thing. I've always just been like looking like what's the proper format to deliver this stuff. Is it a blog post? Is it tweets? Is it what is it? And I like that Critters Cult site, so I think I'm going to jump on something like that.
Yeah, I think this is something that comes up in the cult too, like, comparing our project to other projects. I think is a big theme lately, especially with the Yuga Fallout and the Pudgy's Ascension. I think you guys said it earlier. It's like this is a special group of people working on like very special new creations. So like it's just hard to compare. Like I think it's good to compare because we have examples of people who are doing things right, and we can borrow and collaborate. But it's just hard to compare here. That's one of the issues I've always had as a cult member. It's like, how does our giant scope fit into these other more condensed, like Pudgy's you were talking about earlier, more condensed, clear brand images?
Yep. Yeah, no, Pudgy's. I mean, they've got something really great going. Their simplicity is their strength. But I obviously, I have this allergy to copying other people's success. Like, I just want to do it our way. And like, we're not them. So we'll
Yeah, and
find
I
our way.
think and I know we want to get off. We want to maybe move on, but just to like end on it, I think in order to make headway, I think you need to introduce new elements that sort of speak to audiences that you want to bring in. I think a lot of the movies.
Bear, I think we lost you.
Sorry, I think I cut out.
Yep.
Yeah, I think just a lot of the moves that we're making right now are really focused on delivering on things that not only the cult will find really interesting, but bringing in other people who are native to Web3 over the next like 12 to 18 months. So that's what gets me excited is like really just like studying the space. Obviously, it shifts. The space has just changed so much. And I really feel like the seeds that we've planted over the past couple of years, while I think those things will grow into things that they're growing into expressions of the brand that will allow us to like pull in people that maybe we couldn't before. And by the way, like I wouldn't change anything that we've done. Like again, I think it's really easy, and again, there's always room for improvement. Everybody, everybody can do things differently and iterate and improve. But like at the end of the day, most projects from 2021 and even from 2022, to be honest,
Whoa, geez, let's
no,
move
I
on.
know.
Let's just move on. You guys are just like up here
I'm not
apologizing when
apologizing
we
for
are on
anything.
the
I'm not
cusp.
apologizing for
We're
anything.
on the cusp of the biggest year that the cult has ever seen. And I think that everyone just needs to wait and see because what we have planned for you is hot.
I don't feel like I'm
You're
apologizing for anything.
you're hot.
Okay. Well, I hope that was an answer to all of the discussion in the Secret Tower today. Dotta, what do you want to talk about?
I want to hear what Juno and NFT Magazine have to say up here. You guys came on up here. What's going on?
I think we lost him. What's up, Meadow?
Hey, sorry, my phone died a little bit. I just had to run to get my charger and turn it back in. I just wanted to quickly talk a little bit about what we were saying in terms of like getting activation in terms of like for like marketing. I want to say on the side of the Runiverse, what everybody said before was right on spot. That we're trying to funnel more people into the game, which we think will be like a really good exposure into the Runiverse. And like to that, like point to that as like part of like the comics having the code directly go to the Runiverse games. Like for anybody who's like just breezing in the comic store and you bump into the comic and you like it, it brings it right to the game, which is right in their ballpark. That's more the demographic that would probably fit in rather than like pudgies that could put like Wizard toys in like Walmart or whatever. I think the core audience that we want would be the audience that would like want to play the game. That would be like those kind of people would probably want to contribute to like the lore and stuff too. And just like as a side note, just so I'm not going too much into it, I want to give out the spotlight. That part of that also is for the crypto crowd of it as well. We're gonna actually be in ETH Denver on the 24th. Yes, the 24th is when we're gonna be in the blockchain arcade for ETH Denver. So if you're in ETH Denver, you can go. It's not gonna be like anything like new. It's gonna be like just the old build, but like just like a condensed version of the old build that's kind of like closed off. But hopefully that gets some people who weren't around during the first November event, EVA Memory, or just who don't even know really that we're developing a game really because they're not into NFTs or anything at all. And like just like small activations like that, we're hoping to expand on those more throughout the year, especially as we get more builds out and hopefully get more eyes, especially as the game starts building out more. By the time the game is fully live, we would have gone through multiple campaigns and like one large one that specifically targets gamers outside of our sphere. So hopefully that leads into answering the question a little bit more in terms of how we're going to activate for marketing. In terms of the Runiverse game, definitely have plans up, and we're slowly planting seeds along the way.
Hell yeah. Tad, what up?
Hey, is it a good time for me to give some community rundown this week?
It certainly is, Tad. What do you got?
Awesome. Well, it is a very busy week this week. We have on the top of the docket our very cult favorite return of the Black Sand races is back. So you can get back in and race your mecha ponies. Just got started back this week, and it will feature a new thing this time that the shadow owners can participate. They can both take away or give points to various racers. Also, you can play Ruins, the card game to get free training rolls that will add 1d6 for each game that you play to your total. So come check out the Black Sand races. Next is the Cumber Dome is still underway. Feckless project with the food fighters is still ongoing in beta. So currently he's still gathering some information, figuring out the best way to set it up. There's some really cool things that he's working on. If your fighter loses too many fights, they could actually become de-animated, which I guess they would no longer have enough magical impetus to be able to continue participating in some of these games. There will be a way for them to likely be reactivated down the road, so don't worry about participating or playing, or if you lose terribly, it's still okay. So the beta is going on for probably another week or so, and then it'll be down for a while until he rebuilds. And a alpha will come out about 6 to 8 weeks after that. Also, it's actually a big week. The Ordinal Lights project. I know we've all been talking about that a little bit off and on. Of course, the Master of Lights has removed the mask, and it's our loved Ox Cause who's behind this event. So all shadow holders that held a shadow as of a snapshot a few weeks ago will be whitelisted for a free mint for this. It's a Bitcoin's Ordinal project. It's a 777 count, and I think there were maybe 450 wallets that are eligible. They would have to claim, so the free mints that come from that will probably be less than that amount. But something that is coming for shadow holders, they would be able to participate in that as well. A reminder that the Baron Court's Komodo nests, the egg hatching is still ongoing. I'm reaching out to Bullock. I'll get you all a future update for that, but that is still happening. Also, I think it's in Tanya's Chronicle, but Nahua, I don't actually know how to pronounce that. One of our beloved wizards has submitted something to the Blast campaigns called The Unforgotten. It's an animated dynamic NFT collection, and he's proposed it to, I guess if it's accepted, we'll get kind of supported and I don't know if funded, but supported by Blast when it goes live. It's kind of a cool project. It relies on some trading of the tokens back and forth to cause them to increase levels. And as they get to a top level, then they're given some extra benefits. But as their levels increase, the animations and the actual thing that's shown on the screen is different. So it's pretty neat. Another thing, on Nifty Island, there is a new quest that just started yesterday. It's a 7-day quest. It's open to all communities, and it's based just on foot traffic. So the islands that have the most number of people that play on their island over the next week, the top 15 will win a palm, and some other prizes are being given out as well. So our front runner this week is Funky Ape. I've shared the link around a few times. I'll keep posting it up every day, and we'll probably try to get a group play on either Friday or maybe even tomorrow, just to get a few of us together. So if you're playing Nifty, if you need to collect blooms, visit islands, go take care of any kind of games, please consider popping out to his island and help give some extra traffic to that to drive some extra points. And then maybe we'll be speaking about this later. I don't have a ton of information on it, but Swan Lakes project new here. He's doing a documentary video on a lot of really interesting artists and people in the Web3 world. There was a Spaces shared with Arbitrum today, and there's a free mint that's out on Zora. It's minted on Arbitrum, but it's glimpses of the finalized pieces, but they're dynamic NFTs as well, and that they'll shift around as different things happen. Maybe someone could speak to more detail. I don't know a lot about that, but
yeah, Tad,
more is coming with that.
I myself am actually in that film, and there's a lot of Forgotten Runes wizard stuff in that film.
Yeah, I knew
Yeah,
that
there's
you were, but I
there's
wasn't
a whole
sure if I could share that.
yeah,
Awesome.
there's a whole section. There's actually they played the whole Forgotten Runes section at Sundance over it was like the last week in January, I believe. So yeah, there's a whole entire Forgotten Runes section that Elf sort of reps and is quite fun. And
Yeah.
Will Swan's amazing.
In fact, sorry, just real quick, Dan Sickles, the director of that film, is actually in our audience. Dan, if you want to come up and just speak on it for a little bit, you're totally welcome
Yes,
to.
get up here, please. Love Dan.
Yes, please.
But yes, I just want to underline this. This film is really a big deal. I retweeted it on my Twitter. It's on the Forgotten Runes Twitter. But yeah, there's a free mint happening. It's called Glimpses. And go mint. It's all free. But yeah, it's a pretty big deal. Oh yeah, here comes Dan. Sweet.
I think it's going to be one of the most well produced pieces of content that like represents the ethos of this entire space. That's what
Totally
I think.
agree.
Like I think it just captures the ethos. Dan, what is up, Dan?
Dan the man.
Yo,
What
what's
up?
up? How
Let's
are you
go.
guys? I love you guys
What's
so
up?
much.
God damn it, Dan!
Miss you guys. How are you? What's going on? Today has been crazy, y'all. Today's been crazy.
Yeah, how's it going? Like, to give us the update.
It's good. It's good. It's wild. I mean, like we're getting really cool feedback. You guys did a really good job explaining a very complicated project. But yeah, for anybody interested, glimpses.art has all of the information there. Yeah, and Elf is actually starring in one of the films that's going to be dropping in the spring. And how it'll work is basically once Elf's his short film premieres sometime in April, you'll be able to sort of go to this viewing platform, and when you finish viewing his video, your token will actually transform. And there are several stages to that evolution that we're building in. Don't want to give too many details just yet, but it's pretty fucking cool. And it's something that we've been building out for the past few months, and like just we're working into all these different multimedia experiences, and honored to be working with you guys too, and showing off all the awesome work you guys are doing. Love the Wizard
Dan, are they
so
all going to
much.
transform? Are they all going to transform into little mini baby bear snakes?
They're all transforming into variation nude images of Elf in
Hell yeah!
very embarrassing situations.
Oh,
I'm glad that photo shoot we did a few months ago is not going to waste.
Not at all, man.
there's
Not at
only one
all. The
trait,
generations look
small.
great.
I'm kidding, or not. I have no idea.
But yeah, glimpses.art, that has all the info. But I'll be around in your Discord. I'm always lurking. Proud wizard holder myself. So if anybody has questions, obviously feel free to tag me or hit up New here or Will. Will's been amazing to us, and stoked to have him as a producer as well.
Will's the best. We love Will.
He's
Mr.
the
Swan.
best.
Mr. Swan.
Yeah.
Mr. Swan.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we were at Sundance together showing off all this cool stuff too. So, we do have the film industry super jazzed about what we're building, and like this like little token trick is something that we're showing off to them as well, and want to give to other films and other series so that they can use it with their content as well. So we're going to be building out all that stuff, and looking for other teams to be working with on it.
Well, we're here to support always. We love it. And also, not to like pivot to the next thing, but I think I'm going to see you next week in East Denver.
Yeah,
And
you are.
so that's going to be quite fun.
It's going to
I'm
be great.
excited to give you a high five and a hug, and then for everybody else, if you are going to East Denver, I think we'll try to circle up a time and meet up. So. I'll put out some feelers to everybody publicly, but Dan, I'm stoked to see you, and please, like, congrats on everything to date, and as always, like, we're here to help support, man, because I think the only way we're gonna break through is just making like really high quality things, whether that's the game that we're making, whether that's films that sort of really sort of touch it like at like the heartstrings and the ethos, like to me what you're doing with New here is like you're speaking the language that like anyone can understand and goes well beyond just I think what people sort of like how they label us from the outside. And so I think you did that translation job just fantastically and beautifully.
No, thank you. Back at you guys. I mean, it's all about capturing like the myths of this space, right? Like the ones that happened like in the true verse, and like the ones that happen in the metaverse, and like the ones that we're writing together. So very very happy to be building with you guys, and bringing it to wider audiences. So love how we're collaborating. Definitely going to be continuing it long into the future.
Hell yeah. Dan,
LFG.
I'm so glad you came up, because I was going to talk about the New Here thing at the top of the hour, and then it got pushed to now, but the timing was perfect because here you are. But yeah, again, guys, please go mint the glimpses. They're totally free. No reason not to. And it's going to connect to the film when it drops. So be a part of it. It's very cool. And Bear, you're right. Like this is, I think Dan's film it's going to just be a huge statement for the whole NFT industry. I think this is one of the bridges we need to bring the quote normies into our space.
I'm sending it to all the parents at my kids' school who look at me like, wait, what do you do? I'm just going to shove it down their throat.
Hell yeah. Tad, what's up?
Well, I already minted mine today. I would like to lead off with that. But then I've got just a couple of DAO updates, but I can wait until are we ready to move to a next topic?
Sure.
Yeah, Tad. Sorry to cut you off. I just saw Dan in the audience, so I wanted to bring him in real quick. But yeah, just to recap, I just want to make sure everything I got you said. I got everything that you said, which is Black Sands, Runes TCG, Baron Court, Cumberdome, Lights, a project called Unforgotten. We've got Nifty Island stuff, and then of course the new here thing. Man, I don't know. Is that enough going on in the cult? is there anything else to add?
Wait, what's the Unforgotten? I got rugged and I missed the whole thing.
Oh,
Maybe I just need to
the Unforgotten is Nahwa's project. He's proposed something to Blast for when they launch their mainnet. It's an animated
Cool.
collection on Bitcoin. It's a dynamic NFT that changes over time. Has some components of working, and it encourages you to trade them. Because I think the way that the Blast contracts work, part of the gas that's used in token transfers goes back to the contract. So I think there'd be a free mint, if I recall, and then they're encouraged to be traded like a lot of times to build up their level. Every time they're traded, they get a new level. As they level up, the traits that are displayed begin to change, and there's more to it than that. I only helped proof some of the submission. I don't know the full mechanics, but really cool. The art was very neat. You might have seen some of it that he's dropped in the Secret Tower recently.
Amazing. Who can you share if there's tweets about that? Can you share it up top here?
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it. I don't know if he's tweeted it out or not. Although it's in Tanya's Chronicle, so you'll see it today when we go through that.
Perfect.
Cool. And the only other thing I wanted to wrap
Great.
up is just a quick update on just the DAO stuff that happened from the Wizard Council this week. So we just had our weekly call. Only thing for the cult, the voting for the first round of proposals will go live on the 25th. And that will be active for 1 week. So the 25th is Sunday. So on Sunday, the voting will open. It will be open for 7 days. You'll have final proposals to review. You log in and will vote by snapshot. So you will have to connect a wallet, and then you get votes based on the tokens that you hold from our ecosystem. And you will get to vote whether you want to approve or not approve the proposals. And the only other thing is that the survey, we've left it active for now. I don't think that it's shut down yet. So if anyone still has some feedback they want to deliver to the DAO about what you want us to do, how best to use our time there and our funds that are available, what sort of things that you'd like to see, and if you'd like to help us, understand how best to work for the cult, now is your chance. And that's all I have.
I love when you talk on Wizard Wednesday. There's just so much going on, and it's so hard to keep track of all. So I'm so glad you're doing it. But yeah, that's a lot going on. Cool. Geez, there's only 2 minutes left. Hold on. I think I saw something in the Secret Tower I wanted to address. Oh, Nico2626. Yeah, when I said I was going to talk about canon lore, maybe I misspoke. What I was trying to say is I want to build like this canon lore site that's sort of similar to the ones that Critters Cult did. That can just be like a centralized anchor point for people to return to whenever they want to brush up on canon lore. And you know what? Honestly, I think once this gets started, give me I think I'm gonna like pull the community for things that you want to know about, like Urshan's question today about like what do the lores, the runes mean. That's a great piece of like little canon lore that I think would belong here. So yeah, we can all sort of work on this together. But I think that's it. Yeah, geez, time's basically up. Bear, Dotta, anyone else? Matto?
Let's see. Dota's alpha for this week. Stuff I'm looking at would be like runes on Bitcoin. No association to our own runes. But I think that like if I was just gonna plan to bug any rear, I would say look at the runes ecosystem. I tweeted about it this morning, but for those of you who don't follow my every tweet, there's basically been like there's the big one's called the Risk token, RSIC, that was airdropped to a bunch of people. The idea is that you hold this basically NFT, this ordinal, that entitles you, they call them like mining runes. And so it basically entitles you to effectively a shitcoin once it drops in April. There's a new protocol standard on Bitcoin called Runes. to my chagrin. And it basically it will be like a new shitcoin meta on Bitcoin. It's going to be incredible. Like you can just already see it building up, the amount of tokens that are going to fly there under kind of like a new a new casino effectively. So and then we'll see basically if it kind of if real things come out of it. But I'm just telling you in terms of like alpha. So there's basically a handful of projects that they're calling like runes miners or pre-runes. And so the biggest one is called Risk RSIC. If you go to Magic Eden, you look at the Bitcoin top charts, it's up the top chart. It's been there for a long time. And then, for people who had it boosted, I won't get into how. There was airdropped another one called like Runes Mania or something. There's been like Runes Galaxy. There's been like Derpy Runes. There's basically a set of like not more than 10 that have kind of captured the attention of the people who collect that sort of thing. And so it just seems to me like it's worth a punt if you're interested in that kind of meta. It's worth like having one of each because Ordi, for example, Ordi was the original BRC20 token, got all the way up to like 1 billion market cap at some point. And so that means like if you look at any of these collections, like owning just one of them that get to that point ends up being like a pretty good return. So again, like hopefully you know me and you know that what I'm talking about here is sort of like meme coin trading, and I'm not like saying this is the future of finance. I'm just saying like here's a little tip of something that I clearly see people are going to make money on. Your mileage may vary. You may just easily lose money. You'll probably lose money on 9 out of 10, but like maybe that 10th one will set it off. So take a look at Bitcoin runes. That's something I'm looking at this week.
Dotta, how could you drop alpha and not mention Soda 404?
Oh man, yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know the launch of Soda 404. I know that it's going to be on base maybe, and yeah. If anybody wants to talk about Soda 404, I mean, I'm here for it.
Shut up. Give us the DL on Soda 404.
Oh, one last thing is before we wrap is Dotta, you said you would make a statement about lore points.
Oh, lore points, baby. Okay, so lore points are a part of a bigger effort that we're making that will be revealed over time. Yeah, this week I um, revealed some of the testing I've been doing around like a bot for like tipping lore points. I really loved actually like the memes that people were responding of like the this idea around like sending 10 points to Gryffindor, right? That like it's sort of Hogwarts handing out points, but instead of it just being handed out by the headmaster, it'll be something that we hand out to each other. And really what I'm looking for there is like a fun way for people to like just encourage one another for sharing memes that's a little bit more than just faving that's like sharing cult content that's a little bit more than just like faving the tweet or something. So um, we'll do like a proper launch and a proper release, right? Like I realize everyone's like, wait, what is lore points? And I haven't announced it, and I'm not announcing it right now. I'm just teasing it to you. But yeah, there's going to be some fun things with lore points. It's just a way for like our community to like reward each other, and a way to kind of like curate lore, and a way to kind of gauge things for future airdrops. So stay tuned there. It's all a big secret, but there's only 60 people here and we're all friends. So if you want to test it out, you can give me a DM, and maybe you can be one of the alpha testers.
Bear, I feel like that was exactly one of the things that Dotta explicitly told us not to mention today.
No, I asked him earlier today.
Okay.
I said, listen, you don't have to go into a ton of detail, but I feel like it and even Tad sort of surfaced it in our meeting just in terms of like what the cult is talking about. And so I told Dotta I'd ask him to at least, give some context. I didn't think he was going to say that even that much, but thank you, Dotta.
Neither.
Okay, 300 lore points to bear for that. Thank you.
I mean, Dotta did tweet about it, so I guess it's kind of public already.
Yeah, I've definitely been teasing it for sure.
And I will quickly drop one more fun tidbit before we go. I'm just reading The Secret Tower right now. And as some people know, I got banned from TED, as in TED Talks, as in I gave a TED Talk and then they censored it. but I did get a message from Ted the other day, and there might be an opportunity to redo it.
Hey,
So look out for
all
that.
right, let's go. Too hot for
Amazing.
Ted.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, you didn't tell me that.
I know. I haven't told anyone yet. Wizard Wednesdays.
CIA operative.
Wizard
That
Wednesday is where you hear the hottest and newest shit first. Shit that
We're not.
Dotta
By the way, we're not. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Just don't agree to anything until we talk. I have some thoughts.
Yeah, that reminds me of back when Ted they banned Paul Stamets talk about magic mushrooms, and then like 10 years later they reinvited him, and everyone was like very apologetic, like we're so sorry that we were like hard. Like that's gonna be the same thing this time. It's like 10 years they're gonna invite you back. We're so sorry we were hard on NFTs. It's fine.
Exactly. That's right. Okay. Anything else, guys?
I think stay magic. I think we should wrap up and everybody should stay magic. That's what I think.
I think you all should buckle up because this is going to be one hell of a year, and all I have to say is wag me. This has been Elf, Dotta, Bear, Matatsuki, Tad Major, Nalgene, Dan Sickles of New Here, and all of the wizards of the Forgotten Runes Wizards Cult, channeling out from the Quantum Downs. GN, everybody.